Low, low, low. Doesn't seem like it came through.
What are you from, Minnesota? You know.
Hello, hello.
I did it again, I'm gonna go over there and then this. I'm already trying to log in.
What?
I can.
Yes, what did you want?
I want. Oh, now see, boom, gone. I just wrote back to Gary, you got anything on George? The guy who's gonna replace Jeff on WAC,
Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's fine. I checked that with Wendy.
she said that's okay.
Yes, she did point out, she said that it was already very large, so,
It is.
you should we should consider whether he's, a necessary addition or not, but she didn't really have a problem with it.
It's
So
really more political.
yeah, I get it. I figured.
What about, we can meet with her tomorrow.
I do in the morning.
Okay, I'll wait to see what you think about the slides then. Okay. That was it.
Yeah, I'll let you know as soon as I get them.
Okay.
You could hear them. Okay, great. Let me turn this back off. As long as we're set, I just. I think Bonnie's idea is a fine one. I think Amy wanted to talk about that today. Has she talked to you about that at all?
I'm just here to listen in and see if you guys are.
You can't hear me at all. Okay, good. You did right now? Okay. That's weird. It's not usually that.
I don't think Bonnie can write that. I think she's not able to do that.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
good, thanks yourself.
I'm fine, thank you.
The thing that I just mentioned to you when we had it on the phone, I don't want to do it during the meeting, but if the program that we're offering to municipalities, but if.
Why not?
Well, I just don't want it to be fringe unless you want. Okay, I just wanna make sure it was okay, I.
No, I said it's one
Because
of.
I have a connected network, I feel weird being like, do my new thing, it just feels funny, like. I don't wanna be like, hey guys, how's it been, let's just get right back to it, but I too totally wanna be like, hey guys, how's it been, let's just get right back to it.
The grant issue is our biggest issue.
Right, and that's where when you said.
Even if we do this 90.
Yeah.
Who's gonna write a grant?
Exactly, and that's what.
We can't even get someone together to write the community foundation grant.
Right, and that is one of the things that we're looking at here, either, it's kind of a, if you want help doing it, there's office hours every week to help you write your grants, or.
I mean, that do I want them?
Right, or we do it for you.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two options. There's always options with Amy, come on, I don't want to do that. Right, and that's what the grants I'm looking for is to write on behalf of you guys, so that I've got 1.75 million in ask out right now to provide technical assistance. To anybody who is doing any sort of conservation, water protection, and write on behalf of them, so they don't have to come up with funds to get rid of it. So that's what I was talking about. And I don't know why I chose the chair without pushing.
Yeah, why did you do that?
I don't know, silly. I need to start carrying my little, I have a little desk that I can take everywhere I go. Just sit back.
I've had two. Two now. Yes. Hi, Joe. I'm so sorry in my family. This week.
Just this week?
Yeah, cousin and, well, cousin and pal, not, but.
No, wait. There's just cousins.
I need to write it down. It's just weird.
It doesn't matter, it's still weird, it's still uncomfortable, and it still stinks, so
does.
I'm sorry.
Well, thank you.
Hi.
Weird week. Hugo. How are you?
Magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, I'm dealing with all sorts of things anyway, like I just had a trip to the fuel station with, let's see, 50 gallons of purified water because the machine at BFS broke.
Oh, no.
And I have to have my student fill it up, but it takes like 30-40 minutes per carboy, and yeah.
Oh my goodness, so, well, my group is actually your water delivery instead.
Yeah, water filling and water transport.
Oh my goodness.
How was your trip? Did you go to do anything?
No, I went to Connecticut for that conference, yeah. I am going in March, so
Oh,
I
that's
would
right,
miss
yeah.
the second meeting in
Listos.
March.
Welcome.
How are you?
Hey, Pat. Hey, Jim. Very good, how about yourself?
Bye, Jacob.
Because we're all on the same page. We do have, Mike Stocking should be by sometime during our meeting here, probably about now. And I think everybody got my email, but, Hans did look over everything and said, talk to Mike, so he said everything went good. He's gonna send us a letter in the snail mail. But he's already said that that was, they seemed acceptable to him. So, anyway. Shouldn't have all the materials for that, but let me know if you have any questions, and he should be in. Oh, you're fine, sir, I'm just gonna.
All right, and then George.
Okay, you're on muted.
George is has a history about watersheds that I sent his CV to all of you. In April, Jeff Whipple is going to be the rep from Middlefield to this committee. He was on WAC. Jeff was on WAC. George is now going to take his place on WAC, and I asked George to come today to sort of get a sense of how we function and what we're doing. So I'll ask you just to ask any questions that you want as you're learning, or call me later, whatever you want to do.
Thank you.
We're very happy to have your expertise here.
Thank you.
George lives in Middlefield
Yes. And Brooklyn.
and the Roseland, right?
Well, the address is virtual, but I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the right address. Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum this morning. Hi to everyone on the Zoom or whatever it is. Hi, Jim.
In Victoria.
So I guess the first order of business are the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion?
Accept the minutes as presented.
Second?
Ricky, I had a quick comment. I just think Hans's name was misspelled, so I was gonna correct that. That was acceptable.
Oh, please.
Just as long as you can accept it with that minor change.
Yes.
With all the stuff.
Okay, thank you. All right, all in favor?
May I correct my name on the minutes?
Yes,
It's Bruce, not Gary.
we renamed you, Bruce.
That's okay.
All right,
Sorry about that. Thank you for.
telling us that. All right, with those corrections then, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Well, we'll wait, when Mike gets here, we'll entertain him when he first gets here, okay? So
Sounds good.
we'll move on with our stuff.
Yeah.
I think at the last meeting, the state report's still the same. We haven't heard anything back or anything. Discussion with Kevin Musser. I don't know if I talked about this at the last meeting in depth, but Kevin is interested in making sure that we have the information we need. This case with the tank made him realize that this might be a challenging situation for us. So I think he's going to see if he can make the approval of the WSC one of the processes that they ask for. So I think he has been thinking about it. So we'll give him time to figure that out, but it sounds like a good idea. Amy, welcome back. I think I'm gonna move Amy to this part of the agenda. Amy's got two announcements. One is about a grant she's applying for us. And another is just the work that she's doing now that might help us. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody, back up again. I can't help about, I moved you all too much. I had to come see you. Amy Wyatt with Community Capacity Initiative now. I recently put in 2 applications, from 2 different private funders. Looked at offering grant writing and grant administrative services to organizations like the WSC and any, under-resourced or municipality, so basically any municipality in our area or any nonprofit in our area who is doing any sort of climate resiliency work, anything that has to do with environmental protection, water protection, basically everyone around the table doing the work they're doing, be able to offer those services of having a grant writer that is yours to look like preemptively search the grant, write them collaboratively in conjunction with other organizations so that you have a stronger application as it goes in, and then easy administer anything that you need assistance in administering. The other thing that I've shared, there's a little blue postcard on the table there. So one of the other things that we're doing for municipalities, many municipalities have a grant writer that they can connect with, but finding the grants they want to apply for can sometimes be problematic. So we have designed a program for municipalities that if they give us their kind of their wish list, the things that they are looking to work on, things they're looking to get funding for, we can help them design, do searching on their behalf, help them design their year funding plan. And then we have weekly office hours to assist in preparation of applications. We also can write on their behalf if they are interested. And again, we're trying to get as much, our program, PCI, or I guess it's a business, it's nonprofit. You know how nonprofit businesses, they're technically businesses, but you don't always do them that way. The whole point of it was we saw tons of organizations that needed grant writers, couldn't afford them, so we became a 501c3, even though Otsego County doesn't need any more 501c3s. So that we could write those technical assistance grants on behalf of these other organizations and assist them. So it's not just in conservation, but then all of you know me from my old hat. Conservation is a piece that I have kind of a finger on the pulse of some of that work. In the work that we're looking at, you know, it's also about building capacity for other organizations. So connecting with, you know, Christopher's organization and trying to help wherever we can help. So that's what we're here to do, and I'm gonna listen in and see if there's anything that I can assist with. I know of our past conversations of things that we're looking to fund, including the planning and including some of those best management practices implementation and outreach to the ag community. So I have about 15 different grants that range from state, federal to foundational applications that you can look at. And that's something that I would like to assist with if you guys are willing to have me. And I can take any questions, but as you know, I love to talk, so I'm gonna sit down.
So Amy, is it correct that you're applying for grants that will help in grant writing through CCI?
Yes.
So let's say we complete the 90 plan, goes into the state, and now it's approved, and now we need to write for several grants for any number of things we need to sort of fix.
Mhm.
So that grant money, we would go to you, and that would fund your grant writing process for us?
Yes.
It would?
Yep. So that is because you cannot, so you legally cannot write a grant and get paid with the proceeds from the grant. That is not like state grant. It cannot be, we write something from the state and if we get it, we get paid as grant writers. That is an illegal process in the nonprofit world. So that's, but other organizations can fund us as a nonprofit to do the work on your behalf. And that's what we're looking at right now. So we have applications in with the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation as well as the Nature Conservancy for doing these capacity building projects on behalf of organizations just like you guys.
Okay. Well, thanks, this is good news.
Yeah, I'll have another question later, but you want to,
Yeah, so two things to note. I just wanted to note that Bonnie has joined us as well.
Okay.
And we do have Mike Stocking here from Stocking Stalls.
Stocking.
And if you all remember, we have this tank replacement we've been reviewing. Meredith Sizikowski, so basically what it was, is probably about 15 to 20 years ago, there was an assessment of the tank that Meredith had. It was a very minor leak, which they did some pretty extensive testing on and found there wasn't any real leak issue. It was far away from the lake. There was no real note that there was any chance of anything leaking out of the tank. Meredith did get the tank replaced. And they went from 1,000 to a 1,250 gallon tank. We did have Hans DeWall just review everything. And
So we got the drawings from the engineer, everything. Is
yeah,
in
yeah,
order?
we have an as-built drawing from Mike, and then Hans also provided us sort of his own, some additional notes. He talked to Mike as well, so just looking to
Okay.
see if you all had any questions or anything for Mike, and see if we get this process moved along.
Well, two things. Does anyone have any questions about this particular tank? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
Yeah, I'll say that Hans DeWall has a long-standing reputation here. He's a fine engineer. That's all we wanted. We wanted an engineer's thumbs up on this modification. But I thought it was a $1,500.
Yeah, I think that's what was indicated on the receipt perhaps, but.
But it is actually $1,250, is that right?
$12.50,
Okay,
Well,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so,
that's all we needed.
well, Hans has been doing this for us for 3 years, so we're great about that. So Paul, you moved it?
Yep.
And, Bill, you seconded it. Okay, all in favor?
Plug in there.
All opposed? Okay.
So Mike, let's chat about, this kind of thing. In the, in the annoying process, sometimes that we have to do, it's very important that we, fulfill the obligation of the law, which is that we have to see drawings, we have to
right.
know where it was, as you know, I mean, you know it's better than any of us. So what we're going to do is establish, a relationship so that we don't take you away from your work, but that we can supplement or make it easier by, connecting with you on situations like this, where someone has decided to do something, they're gonna call you. We may not know, even though the homeowner is responsible for that. So I'm hoping we can work really closely, that you can call us if you've got a question about something, or how we might move something along, or be cautious about something. And even,
caller.
I'm even thinking in the future about when we talk about inspections, that we even, you know, work closely with you on how this might work more effectively. Both for the homeowners, but for you and for the WSC, so we get the best picture of the situation so that we can protect the lake.
Right.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Does that mean having them on retainer? Is that the word you are looking for by some chance?
I don't think you were thinking about that. Were you thinking about that, Mike?
This is first time in here.
No, I'm thinking that we hope that we can establish a more robust relationship with Jacob and Mike, so that we have a sense of the safety of the septic systems around the lake and how we can communicate better. There may be times that you can tell us things that we can't get any other way.
Right.
So, I'm hoping that this will be the first step in it. So anytime someone has something like this happen, you'll come in, you'll tell us about it, we'll get all the paperwork together and make it easy for the homeowner as well.
You're still gonna do the 5-year expansion or whatever?
Yes, we'll continue.
Yeah, we're working on the exact time period right now. I'm doing all this, I don't have a level of experience that you were Hans with, but, yeah, the idea is to have everything in regular rotation and. Obviously some stuff, whether it's holding tanks or whatnot, it's probably easiest to like come out when you're maybe already slated to do something.
Right.
But yeah.
Does that sound okay, to you, Mike, that we coordinate?
Yeah, if I come across something, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I used to call Alan, well, I didn't know, but, it's not really kosher.
Yeah,
Please,
Yeah.
please let us know.
yes,
Yes.
that would be great.
But for the most part, most of the stuff is not bad.
Great.
So I'm Joe Membrino, one of the village trustees. I want to thank you for coming. I know your time is really valuable and it's really important to us too, but I'd like Jake in front of us to kind of articulate how, you know, the kind of working relationship you'd like. Bertine got at it, but I want to make sure that we understand how you two are communicating so we understand what we'll be experiencing going forward.
Sure, well, in the future, I mean, hopefully we get something like this ahead of time, and then I can do sort of the legwork of just making sure we have all the materials for you all to review, and then like any other committees. And typically this would be the homeowner, I think Meredith's doesn't even really live in that property anymore, so.
No, she is
He's older here, talk to you. But to be honest, Joe, I don't know 100%, but you know, definitely my goal is not to be to interrupt any of your work, but just to fit my work in alongside it and wherever it's possible to go out, you know, when Mike's doing stuff or it might be relevant for me to, you know, and certainly if you're like, well, then here's something you should come look at, that's a great thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, the premium then is the good open line of communication between the two of you.
Yeah, I think we got that already,
Okay.
to the extent we work so together so far. So, yeah.
All right, well, that sounds great. I don't want to keep you. I just wanted to make sure that, whenever we we can, that we coordinate with you, because you're the expert.
Boots on the ground, as it were.
And we want to be able to, make sure that you're getting what you need, you get what we need, and
Right.
the lake is protected people from that.
Yeah, is there any question you have about what we are supposed to be doing?
Do you have, on those grants that you have out, there's many people apply for that? Upgrades and repairs?
As of right now, I think there's a handful, I got the exact number in there from, I think it's only like
I think it's 4, Jason.
4
Yeah.
right now. I think Meredith even was on that list.
Those her and Joe Bellotti and
Yes.
Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
I
right.
remember that.
There's only 3 I know.
But definitely, if you know, feel free to spread the word, and I'm definitely willing to help people with the bureaucratic end of things. But we're strongly in favor of using that program as much as we can. We help people, help them get their systems upgraded.
I told a few people along there, towards the other end of the lake about it,
Yeah,
that had some pump issues, so. There, well, we can't do nothing with it now, there's one up there. It's almost the other end. That's got an issue with the leach field and the weed, but it can't really tell what it's no longer.
right,
So that springtime comes, I gotta go back and address that.
okay,
So we'll have to figure something up there.
yeah.
Okay.
The state program is technically it's for systems that are failed or are pending failure, but given that we have so many that are so aged, that's a pretty wide swath of people that will technically fit under that umbrella, so.
There's 2, that one there, there's one other one that I know of. My personal opinion is, they're overwhelming it a lot. Right. Yeah, so when you take a house and it's made for 6 people and you slam 10 people in it. Right. 5 days, 6 days a week showers, you know it's not gonna, they're not built for that.
Yeah,
Agreed, and it's hard to explain that to someone that
Yeah.
buy a house.
yeah, we.
But that is exactly what we want to be able to do. If you're you're the expert on there. If you're sensing an issue, then we have the authority to be able to go out and not be heavy-handed,
Right.
but assist and try and help a homeowner with a situation. They may not understand the impact of the lake,
Right.
or the watershed. So we'd love to have that communication back and forth and be helpful to you, as well. So. Okay, great. Well, we hope we see more of you. And you're welcome to stay, but do not feel like you have to.
I wasn't, we're not, I got another point yet.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Mike.
Take care.
Ada.
Great day.
Take care, and
You too.
So may I return to Amy for a question?
Yes, please.
So Amy, from the village's point of view, as I understand it, when the village gets a grant and it has to be administered, it signs a contract and it is the responsible and accountable party for fulfilling the grant requirements and reporting and so on. How does your administration component fit with that legal responsibility that the entity you're working with has?
Absolutely, that's a great question, Joe. So, it is an optional administration for our organization, it's only if, an organization would like us to administer on their behalf. A lot of times when they don't have capacity to write, that also means they don't have capacity to administer. There are logistical, there are a lot of agreements out there, the Mohawk Valley Economic Development District does this all the time. Many nonprofits do administer grants on behalf of sponsors or other nonprofits and municipalities. And we would use we have the same contracts, obviously, we have our name, but we use the same style of contract to make sure that it is still responsible. We would if there's something specific that the entity would like to make sure they get the final sign up on. We do like to make sure that you've looked at it, you've seen what's going in, so that is, we both go, yeah, looks good, before it goes off to the funding entity.
Right, so in my scenario, I'm envisioning a grant issued, grants underway. And then we're now wrapping up the grant and all of a sudden the granting entity looks back and says, oh, well, this didn't happen, this didn't happen, this didn't happen. And you, municipality, are on the hook, and what happened
Yeah,
So how does that relationship work?
we carry insurance for just that issue. So we carry errors and omissions insurance. So that if that were ever to happen, we would always step up to be the in-between. We are the responsible party, we have signed that contract. Even though you are the person who got the grant, we are the ones who are taking responsibility for doing it on your behalf, which means we have to do it.
And my last question is how welcome is a kind of a hands-on client? So we have projects here that the village is ultimately responsible for, and so there's not only the legal responsibility, there's this public interest or public relations constituents interest. How collaboratively can we work, or is it?
You know, whenever it comes to get people together, I love collaboration, I love getting people
Okay.
together. We are open to whatever our big picture is to build a thriving community. And that means we all have to be part of it. We all have to interact in the ways that we can while not overwhelming ourselves. So the people who are excited about doing their work don't get like bogged down in paperwork and giving. I do believe in finding people who are really good at certain things, and if they love doing that thing, let them. If they are Excel spreadsheet wizards, cool beans, right? Like, and we love to work with folks we find it very helpful, like in listening sessions. So if you're a community and you are a trustee in that community, someone may not be quite 100% honest with you when they're telling you what they'd like to hear. But when a third party steps in to facilitate those conversations, a lot of times you get deeper, more information and can go a little bit deeper in that. So that, it's much easier when someone calls you that's not from the company you just bought something from, just to ask how the service. So that's kind of the situation. We are absolutely open to full collaboration and can customize whatever we'd like to. This is just to get people started, because so many municipalities just don't have the time to look up what's out there, right? Like, there's just not enough time today. So why not have me help you with, and we have software that helps us find it as well, but it's not software that's easy to access, it is not inexpensive. So we might as well leverage the tools we have collectively.
Great.
Ashley Safety is doing this too, you might connect with her.
Yes, she and I have to connect next week, so it's
Putting in a
going on in
grant
the
for
other
this as well.
year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amy, also you said you'd get us, I know Jake was gonna work on this, but you said you could provide a grant list?
Yeah, I actually have it.
Calendar?
Yep, so I haven't put it in a calendar mode yet, but I have about 15 different types of grants, many of them in the planning and then implementation of those best management practices. That was the focal point for us, getting that planning done for the ponds that were south of our list before, as well as looking at starting a little bit later, once the 90 is complete, so looking at our calendar of finishing up that planning process to be able to leverage in that. Well, part of the grants that I'm also looking at are building good relationships with the ag community and landowners before we try to go, okay, hey, let's put the BMPs on your private property.
Right.
So those are the types of things that I have listed out and available to look at, so.
Okay. So you'll get that
I'll take that
to us.
Yep, to Jacob. What I can do is just send you a full on list with details of each one, and then we can pop it in the calendar after.
All right.
Okay, great.
Other questions for Ann? Do you have questions? No. Okay.
I have one here. So some of the grants are very strict that the only municipalities can be the applicant.
Yeah.
And would that be possible for your organization to be like a consultant or contractor who helps administer the grant? Because I think that is like the bottleneck around here that. Okay.
Yeah, like when you apply for our communities grant, only municipalities can apply for those, and that's something that, sorry, Paul. Sorry about that. So only municipalities can apply for those, and that is something that we have worked with in the past, as a nonprofit partner to facilitate getting everything taken care of, and we can still administer on their behalf when they go in as the lead organization.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Amy. We'll look forward to hearing more. Let us know. Please in the old.
Don't you worry, I'll be pestering like I promised. I know, I was quiet for 2 whole months, you probably thought I fell off the face of the earth. Well, I'm back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for the warning.
Yes, everyone needs that, like, warning before,
Okay, under 90 action discussion, I did put a memo into the village about, the budget recommendations. I sent it to, Mr. Mangarino, the mayor and the deputy mayor about the things that we've been talking about that we think were important to be in the budget. I have not heard back yet, but the budget process really hasn't started yet.
Right, and we have a finance committee meeting tomorrow. I'll bring up that issue again, but our meetings for budget preparation start at the end of this month. I think the first one is at the end of this month. And I think Jake will be having more input too, because any logistical needs that we need to address, we want to fund. So, okay. Very good.
But the committee members got my memo to the village, so you all know what was requested. And you had a concern about the towns providing funding, but the towns haven't yet provided funding.
I've been given guidance that I'm not to get involved with budget issues.
Oh,
Period. Okay? I think that's entirely appropriate guidance coming from the town.
yeah, but I just wanted,
That's fine.
what I was saying is that,
There hasn't been any money from the towns coming in for Kyoto for
Well-
sure, but just so that you knew that.
so far.
So far.
Yeah. Okay, letter from Dan McNeil, am I saying that right?
I think Ellen responded to him. Jacob, this is the letter from the guy who wrote to Ellen about issues around the watershed, and
Was it the Willowbrook one?
we were hoping.
Was that the
Yeah,
Army
Willowbrook.
Corps?
The worry about the sediment at Willowbrook and the grant.
I don't know if anybody replied back to that.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
Okay. All right, what I asked of the mayor was that when people write about stuff that affects the watershed, that we are in the loop and understand how we might be helpful in responding to those as well.
As just an aside, and I'll send an email regarding this. I know very little about Willowbrook. Once we get some nicer weather, I was hoping someone who kind of understood what the issues might be there. Starting right up before it gets to the village, and just so I have a good idea of what we're looking at in terms of the management situations there. So I don't know if anybody has a good understanding of Willowbrook. And then, I'll send out,
All we need to
if
do
anybody would
is,
want to join,
Yeah.
we'll also get an education on the topic.
Christos has the file on what has previously been done there. That
Great.
documents the need, and we're back to where we were when we did the last cleanup.
There you go.
You just recycle that whole package.
So I'll send you an email, Christos, but I'll just be looking for whatever fits best. I'm sure your springtime schedule is quite packed, so.
My schedule's always packed, that's besides the point. No, I wanted to bring up something pertaining to the Willowbrook, and that was with the report with the US Army Corps of Engineers. I sent that out to the DEC just to see whether it would qualify for Resilience New York grant funding opportunities, which is very similar to the WQIP, only that the cost contribution is 90% of the grant instead of the traditional 75%. After a brief correspondence, and this is why I'm looking through my phone, they kind of said, that they reviewed the report and they didn't really see that many, I don't want to say recommendations, which was odd, and they tend to mostly focus on floodplain restoration, creation, and let me actually note this all out. I have it on here.
Okay,
The Resilient New York one would help with floodplain restoration, creation, and reconnection, wetland creation and or restoration, berm removal, dam removal, stream culvert replacement / right sizing, culvert bridge and other, that's what they misspelled, the parent structures, stream bank, stream channel or shoreline restoration and or stabilization and establishment of riparian buffers and stream daylighting. So apparently the report that the US Army Corps of Engineers created, and I'm sorry to throw in such a curveball this late in the season. It seemed that the report didn't necessarily go into detail regarding those factors. Well, although I am 100% sure that these items in hand were discussed in previous meetings pertaining to that water body.
Mhm.
So as I recall the report, it was a flood assessment. And they found very few areas. And of those areas that were at risk, they were modestly at risk. What I found interesting was and the village did ask the board to look closely at the portion of the river that's encased under Main Street.
Buried.
That was probably a total quarter mile when you get upstream towards, where it's all channelized. And they didn't find any serious damage or imminent failure kinds of conditions. So they didn't really have a lot of suggestions for repairs. So I hear what you're saying about grant opportunities, but it was a more, I guess it's because it's such a small watershed. I think it's of our watersheds, it's the second smallest. I think there's one, but it's what, 3 square kilometers or something. And so its impact is modest overall capacity to do that. Question is damages, I guess minor as well. So I think the biggest feature, and I'll defer to the others, is sedimentation, as it being a sedimentation source. But as a flood risk source and as a structurally deficient channelization matter, I don't think there are problems with that.
Well, thank you for checking that out.
But I'd like to hear more about that because it feeds into.
But there are erosion concerns from, albeit minor, but there are erosion concerns.
Yeah,
They are, and that's caused largely by that channelization that goes underground with that
Yes.
sluice. So everything going downhill through that piping, not bubbling over rocks, but going down that straight chute comes out with tremendous force when it comes out. So yeah, there's some erosion there, but you're not going to change that. What you can change is the amount of sediment that's coming down the hill from. That's what we still don't know exactly where, but we know it's piling up there all the time. And we have cleaned it out before, and we need to clean it out again. To me, it's a slam dunk in terms of knowing what needs to be done, and we just need to figure out how to get it done. And Soil and Water Conservation District was in charge of that previously, and I believe it was Win McIntyre who did the initial analysis and justification for the work that was done by Soil and Water Conservation District back then. I think Scott Fiskbaum was the Soil and Water Conservation Officer head at the time that was done. So you should be able to dig it out of the files with that. There should be a complete file. And as I say, we're right back to exactly where we were. So to me, it's pick this thing up. Let's try to find some money and get it done again. Get it dug out.
Yeah, and I as to that accumulation of cobbles and everything in the engineered channel, they didn't say anything in the report that suggested that channel capacity was diminished in a way that increased a flood risk. So I just, because I've looked at the portion that goes under the Railroad Avenue property, the Railroad Inn property, and that's heavily cobbled up with debris, and yet and when you look just upstream of that, of our massive Grove Street culvert, that was way more engineered, and I thought, to handle a much larger capacity flood, but it immediately narrows into that channel. And my point is, none of that seemed to be of concern to the Corps of Engineers.
Well, look at the Corps' history with channelization projects. They are.
No, but what they are,
Conflicted.
Engineers is good at is figuring out channel capacity, and then they build their concrete bunkers. But the point being that in this case, they don't see a need there. So I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what I took from that.
I can't rip it all back out again. That much for sure.
If we didn't have property owners to deal with, we could build a bunch of check dams and mitigate the erosion. But the fact is that there's just too many property owners involved. You're not going to get anything done with mitigating the erosion impact coming out from that underground sluice way.
so the next steps are
Number one, I would like to go, you said on going out there, right, and examining it. And if not me, definitely a couple of my techs will go out there to walk that area and also dig out the old.
I'd like to be part.
Yeah.
And also dig out the old, what does it, go through our bank boxes and our historical records and try to find, I'm sure it exists. That's not the problem. Find the records and dig it out.
Okay,
And that's that.
There is a sediment issue with that tributary though, and even though it's small, it's concentrated. The other thing about it is that for the things that we measure routinely is one thing, but I was on a computer link this afternoon where they're looking at how much salt gets in a different areas, and they had a really agricultural, a sort of mildly subtle and urban. And the change to where you get urban in there is just unremarkable. And a lot of that has to do with private people who are not controlled by the government or by the usual things we think of, because they sell salt and they're at risk for getting sued if people fall down and are injured, if they're
Or ticketed in the village.
if they're not adequately get the ice under control. And so the potential for other things to be there, that I don't know how well we've looked into that, but I think that's something that we could consider along with and the other thing is this, where the water comes from, if it's the source of sediment that
Matt Albright has a bunch of
Right.
data collected at the end of the
Right.
millennium and at the beginning of the new millennium that shows the first flush rate of salt coming off of the village was much higher than places outside of the village. So it corresponds with the data that you showed us today on that presentation.
so. Christos, I'm gonna put your name next to this, you and Paul, to come back and, in terms of finding the money,
It's always the case.
yeah, I'm certain the village has already been clear, no more grants this year. So, however we do this that's the challenge that we're up against always. Okay, and Paul, you were gonna talk to someone you knew who does grants, did that?
Yeah, and it's great to hear from Amy today. A little bit more modest commitment of availability comes from a recently retired, very effective grant writer for SUNY Oneonta. Her name is Kathy Meeker, and she would be working just by herself without any team, not looking to do grant administration, but she's a very successful grant writer, and she would be willing to look at any of the grants for any of the municipalities. And I don't think that this is a problem that we now have two offers on the table. I think it's actually exactly what we need, because oftentimes the more than one of the four municipalities will be applying for the same grant, and we shouldn't be doing it with the same grant administrator, because that puts them in a conflict of interest situation. So now we have two potential sources for grant writing.
Yeah,
Abby,
That's exactly what we need.
I worked with her before, she's amazing.
yeah, I think, again, our issue, I think, is who pays for it, you know?
Yeah.
Who pays for writing the grant and then the administration of the grant. Those are, I'm not so worried about the rest as I am about who's gonna write and administer and who's gonna pay for that. I don't think it's in anybody's budget, any town or village. So I think that's my concern about it. We can be as passionate as we want, but if we don't have the capability to take it on or to write it, then we're in a difficult situation. Okay, good. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
WAC leadership meeting, that is February 25th. I sent a note out asking who's coming. Haven't heard from anybody. But I want to make sure people are coming to this because it's an important meeting. Are all you coming to it? Okay. Good. I may not, I may. Jacob will be leading it. I may not be here. I have some family issues unexpectedly that I have to deal with. Jake will lead it. And we have, essentially, it's going to be the first 3 chapters, the 90 to get their feedback. Jake's meeting with the consultants to review their overheads for this meeting to be sure that we have a good sense of how that's going to go. And then if we have time, I think these are some other things we ought to do. We ought to share the time on anyway. Jeff's letter, I think, is important to share. And then we can even share the project update. These are just handouts and the DOS update if we have it so that they can see what we've been doing. So I think it should be a very, very good meeting. I hope at that meeting, there might be some conversation among the towns with the village about things they could work on together. I'm hoping that conversation takes place, but so far, there's been no robust conversation about that from the different emails I've sent. If we have them in a room and there's time, we might be able to inspire that conversation, I hope. And the ideas I put out are here for the people who are going to be here. I put the ideas on what they can work on together out there already to them.
And that time is the same time that we're meeting now?
Well, the 225 meeting is at 3 o'clock. So.
Yes, it's not maybe ideal for everybody's schedule. It will last until 4:30. Also, if you are able to get
I will
here,
be here as quickly as I can.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Won't be here till
And
4.
we definitely have to be finished before 5, so we've got it slated for about an hour and a half.
Okay.
The village has to be there at 5, and the council also has to be 5.
Are we here? Yes.
Yes,
Here.
I am.
Yeah. Okay, communication team update. I'm gonna pass this out. We had a great meeting. Victoria and I had a great meeting with Ellen Pope and who else was on that call, Victoria? Remind me.
Brian from Destination Marketing.
Yeah. Victoria and I and Ellen, sorry. Let me grab one. And Ellen offered, as soon as she realized we don't have the bandwidth here to do it, to send out an announcement of an opportunity for people to opt into a newsletter that essentially WSC will develop for whatever it might be, whether it's an announcement of a HAB or an announcement of an educational session or a public meeting or any information we want to send the public. So she's got, I think she said, did she say 3,600 people, 4,000 people, Victoria, that she sends out to?
Yeah, it was in the thousands. I don't remember the exact number.
So this is the announcement of the opt-in ability that will sent out. I've gotten feedback from Joe, I've gotten feedback from Jacob. This is what she will be sending out. So I'll give you a minute to read it and we can modify it however you think we ought to modify it.
And just to be clear, there would be no, there'd be no discouraging rebroadcast by, for instance, Satsego Lake Association or any other group
Wait,
of
what do you
these newsletters, of these watershed news. So when we put it out with WSC,
Mhm.
they promulgated initially, there would be no problem, for instance, with Satsego Lake Association sending it to its membership.
No, not at all. I gotcha.
Okay,
No,
I just want to
yeah,
confirm.
yeah. And we also talked about, Victoria and I talked about the fact that if there was something really serious, a real serious scientific issue or whatever, that we wanted to get out, we would ask each individual organization to also get it out. So it would be a way of us talking to a much broader group of people. It wouldn't stop the HABs letter that you do. It wouldn't stop any of that, but we would tell them, for instance, about a public meeting coming up. Or whatever we might want to communicate with them educationally. about bubblers or de-icers or styrofoam or whatever it might be. So this was a very significant step towards being able to communicate with a larger audience. And I thank Victoria for pulling us together, and we'll appropriately thank Alan Pope as well.
So the people that get the mailing will know what Watershed is what they're talking about, despite where they are. I mean,
Because it comes from Otsego 2000, but we can certainly say that. I'll put that in.
I thought it would be smart to have.
Sure.
Let's see the Watershed.
Yeah. I'll put that in. And then there'll be an opt-in opportunity at the bottom of the email for people to opt into it. Because we can't force people to accept emails. So isn't that exciting?
That's good.
Okay. Palpable excitement in the room registered.
Oh,
yeah.
Right here.
I've got some-
Good, thank you. Okay, so that's that. Victoria, any other things we also have that original group that Victoria pulled together of people who have lists that they send out, and that group is going to consistently, well, if we have something that we think we want to get out and we don't care if it's duplicated, then we will pull that group together to send out really important stuff, probably a public meeting announcement or something like that. So they agreed to send out anything that we wanted, including anything from you during the summer or anything like that. So I think that's a really important component to it. Other things, Victoria?
I think that pretty much sums it up. Yeah, Ellen is being wonderful with offering to have that email list for us. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely have to thank her profusely for that.
Yeah, it was really very exciting. Are there any concerns about that from anybody? No? Okay. All right, the next public meeting, we had a conversation on email about this, and then at the last meeting. I guess, my sense of this, and I want to know what you think. I don't know that we have to have an in-person meeting. We're gonna have one in August. I believe that we promised folks last year that we would keep them updated, and we haven't really. So I was hoping to have one before the summer started, before the spring, when people are not focused on everything else in the world outside of the house. To just say what we're doing. It could be essentially somewhat like the agenda for the WAC leadership. But short of that, I think we can do an update to the public email list that we have. Now, that doesn't encompass the whole public who might be interested. It's only the people who came to that first meeting.
But we do have these communication channels now. We have Otsego 2000, and we can use the Otsego Lake Association mailing list.
Yeah, so we could do an email update,
Yeah.
and that would be okay with me too. The public meeting I thought was pretty successful, but what do folks think?
Well, for my part, this initiative to have a newsletter is the perfect vehicle from these intermediate reports.
Okay.
It also provides, as we say, opportunity for feedback. So if there's a call from the more information we receive in each meeting, we can do it. But I think taking the time and trouble to organize another meeting may not be worth the candle.
Okay.
I think that's a really good point, and then we can also use that as a vehicle so that people would have a piece of paper that they can pick up. I have a question about this, or I have a concern about it, or how this may affect me or my property. That they can find us by getting that sort of thing, whereas otherwise they're gonna call somebody or what's around looking for our name someplace, which, I mean, it's on the internet, but if they get something they've had in their hand and read it and know the topics and the concerns and things that get brought up in that kind of newsletter, I think would be very good.
And if we can design a nice template format, that we can plug elements into each edition. I think the design will be really important. People can engage.
Okay,
And there are a lot of people out there who do that stuff.
yeah. Except we don't have any money to pay them.
What's the start date?
Huh?
Do you have a potential start date for this?
For this, no, they agreed to do it only. We're gonna get this to them and they'll tell us when they can send it out. So I don't think Victoria, did you get the impression that it would take a long time or that it would be fairly simple?
It sounded like it would be pretty straightforward once we send Ellen the little blurb that we want to include. It sounds like she's gonna send it right out.
Okay,
And then we can also send that to the other organizations too, to be distributed in their next newsletter, whenever that may be, either bi-weekly or monthly, I think most organizations are.
okay,
Probably within a month, that should be ready to go.
I make a suggestion. I think I don't see I think it's better for us to publish the first edition with this announcement of what we are, rather than tease something that we may take more time to get out. And telling them what you're gonna tell them item may not be, again, worth the candle. Rather, now that we're doing this, we'll have a fanfare announcement with the first edition. Just a thought.
yeah,
I'd see two main issues other than the work that would distract us from what we need to be focused on right now, which is moving forward with the plan, and that is, of course, that there's a possibility of meeting fatigue with the intended audience. That's one. The other one is that it's winter time here in Cooperstown, and a large portion of the audience that we would hope to reach is much better reached by the email than they will be by an in-person meeting, because they're not available.
okay. All right, so we'll pull that together. That's the royal we, it'll be Jacob and I and Victoria. And we'll see what we'll see what we can happen. Okay, very good. Let's see, I don't think there was an ag tributary meeting. Since last
No, but
month.
I got, I had a couple people get in touch with me that were out of town or whatever. So I talked to one woman on the phone for not quite a half hour about things in general, and and I did write a little summary of the first meeting up, and I don't know whether, do we need to keep that someplace? Is that part of the 90 plan that we say we did that, or I don't know?
I'm sorry, what is this, Joe?
I think it's.
The
a good idea.
minutes of the tributary ag plan, committee.
It won't hurt.
Yeah, it won't hurt, like I keep some meeting notes, not necessarily minutes that is approved, but I am keeping them on Google Drive.
Okay,
Okay, so I put it there.
okay.
Yep.
All right. Good, perfect. Then, regulatory, any update on that, Bonnie?
You're mute.
Can you hear us, Bonnie? Bonnie, I think you're still muted. Keyword out.
You can unmute her, Jake.
This is like an ask to unmute.
Um,
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
No updates because February 28th is our first contact point again. For people to, and for, other community municipalities, we have Springfields, but everyone's to get their, draft back by, February 28th, and then I was going to share them among the 4 municipalities so that everyone could read each other's to see if there was any change or enhancement they wanted to make to their own, with the goal of maybe having it all ready by the 15th of March in order to submit to Anchor 2 weeks early.
So I don't know if you saw the emails, but I think your dates are a bit off, and I apologize for not noting them. They actually are needed by the end of the month. But I think maybe you had got a different date from Carrie or something, but that was not really the agreed upon due dates. But we did get back Middlefield today. And the village is also largely complete. I'm just waiting for feedback from the mayor and the deputy mayor.
Okay, so,
This was the 16th. So I can send out another email and see if they could have them by the 20th, possibly.
well, we have,
So we,
well, it sounds like we've got,
The 18th, and the 20th is Friday.
so we have Middlefield, we have Springfield, the village is essentially done. Otsego? Paul, Pat?
I know I'm meeting tomorrow with one of the people who is working with me, but we were told the 28th and May Lionheart is up in Lake Placid with her kids.
Well, can we get it on the 28th?
I can't talk to her until she gets back from Lake Placid,
And
which
she's,
should be Monday.
oh,
We all said we'd have it done by the 28th.
okay, great. So I think that's still okay, and then
yeah, I
Bonnie,
think we're all good. I think Bonnie had possibly an incorrect date from Carrie, and it was
yeah.
my error to not have corrected that was wrong. But I think we're largely, like I said, I think we're largely in good shape because Springfield's is already done, of course. Middlefield's was just sent today, Bonnie, and I did forward that to you as well. And the village, like I said, the villages is done. I'm just waiting to see
Yeah.
whether there's any additional feedback, so I should have that by Monday.
and I think, Bonnie, the next step, as I understand it, which is probably the way Anchor QEA does this, is that they receive them and they do the analysis for who has what laws and who doesn't. So rather than send them to the municipalities,
It wasn't for that purpose. There was going to be no analysis done by us. It's all going to be done by Anchor.
yeah, that's what I,
And it was just so that if people wanted to see what the other municipalities had written, on the chance that it reminded them of something they wanted to add to theirs, that they would have the opportunity to do that. But we certainly can best forward them directly from the 4 municipalities. I was planning to send them to Jake because my understanding was that he was to be the contact person with Anchor. So I was gonna send them all to Jake and then he was going to send them all to Anchor.
yep, that's exactly right, and then.
We're not going to do any assessment.
No, I know, I was saying Anchor QBA was gonna do the assessment, is that your understanding, Jake? They were gonna look at all the
Yes,
plans and say which ones have.
so we do that separately. If there's any sort of analysis we wanted to do, or we wanted to run anything back past the towns, but.
Yeah, so they will do that process, okay,
Yeah.
all right, so I think that sounds like a good plan. Sounds like we're gonna be on target, we'll hope that Otsego can get theirs done by the 28th, when she comes back, so sounds like we're on track. Thank you. Let's see, the BMPs, this is a question. So there are BMPs that will come from the modeling, right? Is that right?
No, the BMPs need to be proposed in response to the modeling results.
Yes, but I mean, it'll come out of that process, right?
Right, so Anchor would have like more general ideas like, ag BMP or suburban BMP and stuff like that, but it's really up to us to say what is feasible, possible, preferable.
Yes.
And that's what Jake started the feedback.
Not me,
process.
I mean, sorry.
Okay, but there are also BMPs that should come from the tributary analysis
Yeah.
and from other things that we're doing, right? Not just the one.
Absolutely, and then it's a broader audience than we have represented here. Because we're missing state DOT and we're missing county DOT. And a lot of the BMPs are gonna be involving them.
Yeah, so who is doing that? What's the process for that?
So the modeling work is continuing. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna meet with Wendy. So from the watershed perspective, in terms of the task model, it's a very straightforward sort of process in the sense that like all of the Chesapeake Bay, like approved BMP processes, which are 150 or something. Those are literally like in drop-down menus within that software. So, my understanding at this point is what I'll be discussing tomorrow. Is their thoughts on what they've seen from the model, what different potential BMPs there are related to that. And then we would carry that to discussion with the market.
Okay, but what about the, so you asked about the tributary
Well, yeah,
stuff.
that, and like in this review we, just went through, there's a dozen dams in the tributaries of the north. They're all in town in Springfield, right? But, okay, what are we gonna do about it? You could put them back up, or you could tear them down, or you could, turn them into something else. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know how we are gonna suggest that, or do they say if you take care of that? Everything I saw on the 90 plans from other lakes, they said, well, if we drop the phosphorus, amount by this amount, we'll save such and such. But it didn't, I didn't see where it went through what exactly the BMPs were to accomplish that reduction of phosphorus or whatever, yeah.
Any reduction of phosphorus will automatically entail the remediation of sediment erosion into said water bodies. Because, and I believe you can jump in and correct me, phosphorus binds itself to the sediment.
Right.
So basically, those two are outside of other materials that carry high like matter of phosphorus, like fertilizers and manures and all of that.
See, that's what I point. There's a whole bunch of ways to address that, aren't there? I mean,
Who's gonna come up with that list? That's my question. I don't hear it. I hear the cast model piece. So the models will be presented, BMPs will be developed, they'll be put into the cast model, very elegant. What about the rest of the BMPs that need to be developed? Who's on that?
That's a local community, really.
Yeah, but they don't know what to.
Well, but based on the history of these exercises, these 9 element plans, won't the consultant also have an inventory of best management practices that have been incorporated in other?
That's true too.
And you provided those from the 9 element plans from other communities.
Those are from the
You have
cast
that
model
list.
though. That's from their modeling work that they did with that lake. Correct?
No, those are the BMPs that the other lakes with 9 element plan decided to pursue in the final 9 element plans.
All right, so who's gonna look at those and develop that for us?
Well, do we not have the consultants themselves providing some first cut at that?
That's
I think we're trying to put the cart before the horse here. I think we have to see the model, so let's get the introduction from Kyoto here today. It's gonna be a little bit of all of those things in the end, I think. So the cast thing, it's not just like an anchor thing, that's like the major model
Yep, yep.
tool that's been produced.
Yep.
And that is directly connected, so it can use all of the probably 150 to 200 different EMP possibilities. They're all described very well. There's all the technical detail that's related to them. And then you do have to kind of decide in the end as a community, like what the priorities would be. So I think in terms of the other 9 element plans, they do vary a lot. Like they look at some things like just hypotheticals, like what if we were to somehow have all of our septic system issues remedied? There was 0 issue with the septic. What would the impact of that be? And they just kind of looked at the different factors. There's no like rule as far as what we have to have at the end. So it should in the end be a combination of what the community says the priorities are. And some of that will result from the modeling stuff, right? So if the model says, well, our issues are sediment, and we've got issues with Willowbrook, and we've got issues from the agricultural areas.
Right.
Then those are the BMPs we're gonna have to look at and discuss. In like these larger meetings, but then. It's also gonna be like, just people think that there's an issue and that's the thing they want addressed, and we can rationalize that through the modeling
Okay.
process. There's also an important facet for us to always keep in mind. And I think Ray had pointed this out, like, this isn't like a perfect sort of model.
No,
for
no.
our lake. It's just
A
kind of a
Yeah,
best
yeah,
sort of picture of what the implications might be as far as what our different nutrient sources are.
it's the
So,
best.
I don't think we have a perfect answer now, but the end list will be a combination of our outreach to the public and discussing it with the public. The sort of things we look at through the model, which this first meeting is just gonna be with Wendy and I, but at the end. Whether that's including Kyoko or people in the field station, like I'm going to need, I think, more, it's not like Jake's list.
Yeah.
Or Wendy's list. It's supposed to come from us and the larger community.
Right.
So there is no perfect answer now, but I think it comes both from the modeling thing. And then just what the community priorities are. Now, Matt's pointed out that like, we might be in a more difficult situation in a sense, because we had years of these things ongoing. And, you know, maybe some of the low hanging fruit isn't as obvious, but at the same time, like Paul's pointed out. What about the VMPs where like, here's a retention basin and it's just totally filled in,
Right.
right? So, yeah, I don't think there's a perfect answer now, but I think we're getting
Okay,
closer to the answers now with the output that we're getting from the model. And then we all will have to lead discussions. Community wide to figure out what people really think the best approaches are.
Okay, to get back to Bill's very specific point that he's made the last two meetings about these scattered little dams. Was the model even looking at the options for the dams?
Again, I don't know, I've got a file.
I doubt it, frankly, because it's
Yeah.
far up in the watershed, but should we be looking at the options for the dams? I'll tell you that I could argue both ways about whether the dam should be maintained. So for easy sediment removal or taken down to restore natural waterways and to allow for migration to take place.
Yeah, so those are the things that could be part of the plan, but it is not part of the tributary load study or, you know, the lake basin study.
yeah, I'm just trying to get it straight in my head here, okay, so there's, I get the modeling. I get all that, I get it. But there are also things specific to our lake that we can learn from other lakes. That we would want to put in this, because remember, we're going to use it to write grants, so we don't want to leave anything out majorly. I can't include everything, but we don't want to leave anything out majorly, and I don't think the consultants are going to come up with that. Unless we should ask them, who's coming up with the other BMPs, are they gonna convene a group? Are we supposed to convene a group? Maybe you can talk to her about that. And that could be more clear to us, about how we think about the dams and the tributary analysis that was
I
done.
got one isolated thing. I got shared text messages with the owner of the farm that's by Springfield Landing Road. And he tells me that he's got he has some kind of arrangement with the federal support to work on the sediment issue, because that was very high, that a little bit of Mount Wellington that comes down. I don't think I have access to what kind of a deal that would be unless I ask him specifically, which I thought I should ask this group if that's what, you know, I should do, but and a lot of what, you know, we are sort of doing okay with our sediment control. A large part of what we need is continued surveillance and to pick out some of the things that we haven't gotten done, like the
Shadow.
well, sampling after a rain event or in the spring thaw or things like that, that I think I know people are talking about and they want to do, but those things, I don't know how they get entered into what kind of a response we're supposed to have. Does that make sense to you? Because I presume that soil and water would have been part of what's going on over there. I don't know.
The federal government's its own entity, and the only thing that we get involved with the federal government besides the cost sharing for some of our major grants is the wetland easement program. No, what I wanted to say was something else. And that is pertaining to the BMPs and the type that you use, is that at the end of the day, this grant will basically, and what you want to pursue and how it's going to be tailored is going to effectively be a compromise with the ideal of what it needs to be done versus the realities on the ground. So for example, you can take Willowbrook and we can basically, and I could basically say that, you know, we can open it up again so it doesn't channelize and it doesn't deposit all that sediment into the lake. But the reality of the matter is with all those properties, that's an impossible task. As for the dams and all of that, I guess it kind of boils down to what this group and for the matter, the community as a whole finds more important. I know that Soraya and under my auspices, don't mean to brag, has really been focusing on a lot of the dam removal stuff. And we can, in the future, remove all those old dams that were there. But at the same time, that also means that all that sediment that comes down will not be caught anymore.
Well, and that should be our focus, that if the dams come out, that part of that removal is.
That part of the removal will.
Is to harvest that accumulated sediment and put it back where it belongs.
That accumulated sediment will be harvested because the DEC rules and regulations require it to be harvested. That's not the problem. The problem is that any future sedimentation that will be coming up from the high areas won't be caught. It will be going straight into the lake.
So it has to be a discussion.
But so many of those small dams are filled right up to the brim anyway.
So-
That's not a big.
It really boils down to, and this is basically what I wanted to say is, what do you guys want to prioritize for the lake? And I'm not saying that in a selfish way, because I think everybody here has a degree of expertise on, regardless, a degree of expertise on certain aspects of the same picture. Ultimately, this is all an exercise of the free blind men and the elephants. So, but at the same time, they will give us, the idea is they will give us the modeling options, and it is up to us to come up with the best middle road that reasonably satisfies all parties involved.
The modeling options, and then the things.
I don't know, that's.
And then also the things that the model hasn't looked at.
Okay.
So it sounds to me like there's gonna be a very focused project based on the modeling
Mhm.
and the CAS system, et cetera. And then there has to be, maybe we have to take 2 hours, whoever should be in the room, you tell me. And we start talking about what BMPs we want to make sure that we put in the 90 plan. And we should start it sooner rather than later. This thing's gonna go in a year.
So will there be a model that addresses a possible huge development?
I don't know, we haven't.
Yeah.
No, it is not. I mean, it's based on the current land
Yeah.
use.
There's the current land use, and I believe, just from my old statistics courses, that there's also degrees of play and of air that basically it operates under.
Yeah.
And that's basic, and that's basically how it's going to go.
So
I think we could get into that. What's the one?
Yeah.
Yes, Paul.
For some of these new and ongoing NCRS projects, you can go across the hall and. Get
We literally-
information so that we can understand what's going on. I think that's what Bill's saying is that pretty hard to model something perfectly or even close to perfectly when things are in flux and we're not having access to the information. We need to know what is being implemented in the watershed currently. Because that's changing the picture even as we're sitting here discussing it.
We share a building with the USDA, both the FSA and the NRCS. I can ask them about what's going on over there. However, and this is the part where I kind of use weasel words, just because I may ask may not necessarily mean I'll get a straight answer from them.
Okay.
So I think there probably needs to be a planning session around this, a separate planning session where we can talk about.
Also, the NRCS and our office anymore doesn't, well, they actually have contracted a new guy out of Minnesota to come to the office and start working on a lot of the grants that they're doing. Which basically means that he's still new and still learning the stuff, but beyond that, the best that I can kind of sort of hope for is to get and then what is it? And Tony Caprero, who is the regional one from there.
If we just had a 2-sentence description of projects they're working on within the watershed, that would be illuminating.
I think I can pull something like that off.
Yeah.
I think I can pull something like that off.
Let me just make one point to your earlier point, Paul, and that is if the State Department of Transportation is obviously a state entity. Obviously, they've been involved in these plans too. Is there already some sort of drop-down menu or access to that again, the consultants may
Because,
be aware of?
all we can do is beg their involvement.
Right, but they may already have some best practices that, because it's the DEC that's doing these plans, obviously, I'm assuming there's gotta be some cross fertilization that's occurred there already that could find its way into plans. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
It's intuitive.
I think what we have to do is pull together a think tank around this, because I don't think we're gonna solve it today. And we still have a large agenda coming up, but so I'm gonna let me know who should be at the table and I'll together. To talk about how we get this done. It's other 90 plans that we can learn from. It's whatever's happening now. I don't even know if there's a list of what's happening now somewhere. I think that has been a challenge for us to even have that list. We'll have the modeling list and then whatever else we should be thinking about, either from the tributary analysis or the dams or whatever it is. Willowbrook. So let me know, if you'll just let me know who should be there. Just write me an email and tell me who should be there and I can try and pull that group together. I know it's everyone in this room, for sure. Does that sound like a plan? Okay. All right, styrofoam letter, we did send a letter to the village, I think there is some pondering of that by the village.
Yes, and it'll be in our packet for discussion on Monday.
Okay.
Board meeting.
Second step is to send a letter to the homeowners. Victoria sent you a copy of the letter. I'd like to vote on whether or not we send this to the homeowners. I think we should. By no means is this just a village issue. This is an issue that is important to all the homeowners around the lake. Victoria, you have a list that you're gonna send that to, is that correct?
Excuse me, so for that letter, well, first I had just sent out a draft. I haven't received any feedback from anyone. So if anyone does have edits and suggestions on that letter, please let me know and I'll send it over to Bertine and everyone. But as far as a list of homeowners, I put together a list of the physical addresses. But I don't have an email list of homeowners now.
So it would be a physical letter that goes out.
Yeah, we could do it that way, or we could wait until we have our email list for the newsletter and send it after that.
I think
I'm not sure what people think.
What about,
Victoria, can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I give you some feedback. I think the letter is great, except the final sentence is, for further information, contact the Lake Association.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Or that's deleted.
Yeah, that is gone. I did see that. Thank you.
you know, would it be useful, because the expense of a mailed letter to addresses is enormous. But with this email address list that we're talking about using throughout Otsego 2000, do we have to have it be addressed to property owners? Can it just be something for everybody and capture the entire audience with this concern? There'll be property owners involved, but there'll also be a lot more people.
Yeah.
And it's cost free to have a more expansive list.
The only problem with an address list is there are a fair number of people that have an address, a physical address that isn't Cooperstown.
Right.
And as long as we can sort that out.
Well, no, he's saying.
No, I'm
let's
saying
not
use an
mail
email
it.
address.
Let's
Don't
not
use
mail
any mail addresses.
I guess,
All would go to email, and if the letter had to be tweaked a little bit because we thought, it is addressed to landowners. By the way, I thought the letter was terrific. But I just think if we have a logistics problem, sending it to the usual interested parties, which goes beyond landowners, I don't think that hurts us.
can we? So this is kind of specific to people who are literally on the lake. That's not 3,600 people. Could we send it via OLA? The newsletter or something?
Yeah, we could do that, we would certainly, I don't think we're the primary person, but we would forward it, but there's another issue, and that's that. There's a lot of people that live west of the highway that have a dock, maybe they have an easement on someone else's property. So, it's not just people that live on property.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
People that have docks or floating, as you know, Paul, floating, what do you call it, one of those.
Platforms.
Thing like the floats underneath like
It's plan.
a platform, floating platform in the lake. There's a bunch of those with, supported by styrofoam. So, yeah, we're willing to forward the lake. I guess, are you gonna sign it, 13? We would, we would help distribute it. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that it's, I don't think it's, we support it, Otsego Lake Association supports it, but I'm kind of thinking the WSC.
Yeah.
People have different opinions.
No, we'll sign it. I guess I'm trying to figure out the best way to get this out. So is there anyone?
I would put it out, I would just ask our folks to put it out on the email list. We've got 350 email recipients. We just blast it out to everybody.
And then we can share it in our first communication from Otsego 2000 as well. This is a recent letter sent to the community.
We need to do that because as long as Otsego Lake Association has existed, it has struggled to blanket the shoreline, never mind the folks that are living across the street or up the hill.
Yeah.
But so this seems to be an event you've been talking about. We need to take a formal action as a group to do this.
Correct.
And that would mean, in my view, that we've got the approval of each municipality's representatives to send this out, and then
I'll sign.
your name is authoritative. So how do we?
Well, so I'll move it. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Is there a discussion?
Yeah, yes, we can just, are there discussion issues? The people who can vote are just members. So that's Paul, me, Joe, Bill. We're voting to send the letter. To the
Right,
homeowners.
so the question is, does anybody who represents a municipality need to get authority to cast the vote? Or are we content, we're represented, we can go ahead and do this?
I mean, I gotta tell you, if we're gonna send people back to the municipality on every single issue, what if we did that in the United States government? Maybe we should. But that's not how it works, and it shouldn't work here. I can understand budget stuff, I can understand that, but you're a representative from the town, just like I am from the village. Joe's gonna vote for the village and so am I. I'm not going back to the village board.
I think, if I can stop I think as long as you feel comfortable casting your vote on behalf of the village, I mean, if you didn't, and you're like, well, I want to bring up with the village first, then you could say that, but my point is mainly, I just want to make sure all municipalities are informed, and if somebody went back and they're like, what are you sending that letter out for? We hate that letter. We could walk it back maybe or something, but whatever works. I'm not trying to
Yeah, no, I'm
bust things up.
that's why we have people here, otherwise, that's the point.
Well, I think I'm comfortable, looking at my colleagues here from the village, and this is an appropriate thing to do from my end, but I don't want to railroad anybody else into doing it if they're not ready to vote.
Nobody's railroading anybody. Any other discussion?
Let's see,
So I moved it. Who seconded? You seconded it? All in favor? Those opposed? Bonnie, are you opposed even though you can't vote online?
You're muted.
You're muted.
You can't hear you, Bonnie.
thumbs up or thumbs
Just to
down.
clarify, everybody is okay with the current version?
Yeah, current version.
I support the letter,
Okay.
sending it out, but I understand I can't vote because I'm not physically there.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Support sending the letter.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will take care of that. All right, let's see. Joe,
Thanks again to Victoria. I thought that was a good letter.
very good.
Yeah.
And I'll just put a one comment officially in the minutes, and that is that when we ask for input from the team, when folks ask for input, please get back either looks fine to me. Need more time to review it, but radio silence is a little bit disrespectful. So if you could get back when people ask for input, it would make our lives a lot easier as we try and move this mud uphill. Okay? Let's see, routine agenda, I think the inspection fee idea is, their idea from Lake George was $50 a month to $50 a year to everybody, and I think that's still on hold with the village, what you do.
Right, we formally suspended this pending,
Yeah,
Jake's orientation.
okay, but that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Idea.
yes,
Yeah.
it's not a retreat, it's a
Yeah,
reorganization.
Kyoko, your tributary analysis that you sent out to everybody,
Yeah,
did you want to talk about that?
yeah, I would like to just very quickly go over the slides from UFI, because that's very pertinent to what we have been talking about. So everyone in the team, the WSA team, should have received it on the 12th of February.
Yeah.
And the overview, we can just skip, and just go to the, yeah, so the watershed characteristics, you can see the area of each of the 10 watersheds, and some of them are big. Willowbrook in particular is really, really tiny, but it actually turned out to be pretty interesting. And also, big disclaimer here is that this is still a draft, and UFI may still revise the numbers as they go forward. So this is just a draft and it's no final report. Also, there may be areas that have high loading, but this is going to point out where we can do better. Those are, so we should not use this for like finger pointing who's bad, etc. So I wanted to make sure that that is clear. Please, next. Okay. So those are the estimates of mean or average daily flow of each of the trips. And again, we have high flow ones and then low flow ones. And you can go to the next one, please. That is dissolved organic phosphorus. And you can see that Willowbrook, the Willowbrook is interestingly high despite the small watershed. And that's something that we need to, think about.
It's when I'm sure, because it's channelized and all that, sorry to jump into it.
No, no.
It's the equivalent of when you put your finger on the hose to have more pressure. That's what I was suspected to be.
And then go to the next one, please. That next one is particulate phosphorus. So those are phosphorus that is bound in like soil particles, etc. Willowbrook is still high. Glimmer Glen Creek is pretty high. So are Mount Wellington and Shadowbrook. Shadowbrook, we know it's a hot spot. And then next one, please. So that is soluble reactive phosphorus, and that is typically from fertilizer, septic system, etc. Really highly available, immediately available form of phosphorus, and that is high for Mount Wellington, but also Willowbrook.
How does that happen?
Months?
And it is per hectare area per year. So again, the contribution overall from Willowbrook is relatively small, but it is still relatively high for a stream. And next one, please. So that is nitrogen, inorganic nitrogen. That's again, very highly available form of nitrogen for algae and so on. And you see almost binary results that some of the streams are very low, but some of them are very high. And those are opportunities for us to do something, especially for nitrogen. And then the next one is total suspended solids. And those are the particles. So they probably are associated with the particulate phosphorus as well. Again, Glimmer Glen is high. And Willowbrook, again, is relatively high. And the next one is observations from the UFI folks. And then the next one is how the values kind of generally compared to other systems. The UFI scientist said that Otsego may look higher in some of the parameters, but that is because Otsego is doing very good job of collecting samples right after major rainfall. So that is actually a good thing. And that's all I wanted to talk about today. But
What are the next steps, Kyoko? Will the team start, will BMPs develop from this, for instance?
so they're still going to refine this.
Okay.
And then now that we have this, we are waiting for more watershed results from Anchor QEA, and April is when both entities, UFI and Anchor, should have their modeling results ready. So that is when we can really start to like focus on what we can do at the local level for BMPs.
Okay.
But there's a couple of interesting things in this. One is that if you look at the flow, Mount Wellington, it is the tiniest one of the bunch. But it sticks up way up
Yeah.
in the phosphorus load. So I don't know,
What's the slope?
you know, I mean, it's concentrated, but there's not a lot of it. I don't know what to do with that. It's true for another, I think for Willowbrook, to a certain extent. And I, can you multiply the one times the other and see if this is the total flow per some amount of time?
Well, I think as Christos has emphasized, we can't do everything. So now that we have these data, we look for the low hanging fruit. What can we fix? What do you know about Mount Wellington that we can fix? What do we know about Willowbrook that we can fix? And that's what we should be going.
I know some things about Mount Wellington.
Yeah, and I know some things about Willowbrook.
I have a spy that.
Where exactly is Mount Wellington? And now we're maps and all of that, you basically have the three main tributaries and
It
then
runs along the down the Springfield Landing Road. There's cattle out in the.
Little tiny.
Out in
You
the,
gotta realize in our maps, you have the three main ones and then there's basically, and everything else is basically labeled minor tributaries for the Otsego.
Right. And it is a minor tributary, but it's going through some active
It's a very
cattle
valuable piece of property, but there isn't a whole lot going on there. They just
Can I ask
raise
a
a few
question?
cattle.
Sure.
Because I think what Bill's doing is pretty much what I was doing, looking at the ones that were high. And developing a best management practice really demands you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but why is it? You're thinking, okay, well, right here in Mount Wellington, there's the cows in the field there near public landing. So I'm thinking Glimmer Glen, well, what the heck accounts for some of those high readings? Not so obvious to me. So how do you propose a solution when all you've got is the data of the outcome, not, it seems like you need to do more reconnoitering to see what is causing what you're seeing as outcome in order to propose a solution.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Kyoko, say again the next steps. Say it again.
So the initial 9-element plan would be like, okay, we found out that this is a troubled spot and we are going to start addressing it in this way. But ultimately, 9-element plan could allow for us to apply for more grants that are specific to finding out what exactly is going on. 9-element plan does not fund studies, research, but some others can potentially do it. So again, this is a starting point, and finding out that, say, Glimmer Glen is a hot spot, and it's probably from, say, ditches instead of ag because of the land use, then you can write in 9-element plan 1.0 that we identify this and we are going to pursue what is going to be, a better solution, management of ditch, etc.
So the 9E plan might say, this is the analysis of the information. We need to study this more to understand what's causing it, or we know what's causing it, and this is what we're gonna do. The 9E plan would be either more study or this is how we fix it.
Yeah, if you look at the published 9/11 plan, that's how it is.
Yeah,
There's one other thing in this, and that is that, the, HAVs have been identified near Springfield Landing. We've also got one of the highest phosphorus leakers of the tributaries. And it seems to me that should be tied together somehow with whatever we're gonna say, what ought to be done. And I haven't gotten back from Holly, but I think she has data on where tabs were identified over the last, in what parts of the lake. And that's one other thing that I haven't seen that anybody do that with the other 9E grants that I looked at, but that may be an important something that we
Yeah.
could say, this is, we need to focus here because of, and the same thing is true from Willowbrook. They've had a lot of green down in that southern part of the lake.
so thank you, Kyoko. I think the next steps are gonna be key for the grant. Just one last thing, and that is the Community Foundation grant, $20,000 this year. Yay.
Yeah.
So are you submitting something?
Yeah, pretty soon.
Okay, are you submitting something?
Well, I can't submit myself. It needs to be rolled into BFS if it's equipment, etc. But I was thinking, like, how about pot of money for mini grants?
I asked
The writing.
I asked Jeff about that. He said the board will not approve for that. He actually brought it to them. Bonnie came up with an idea of signage, money for signage that we've been wanting to do around different parts of the lake. And there's two important things here. Number one, you don't have to administer anything. There are no reports, nothing. So going after the Community Foundation grant is important. We should coordinate. We want everybody to have, money to do what they need to do with. So it'd be good if we coordinated. And I think the other thing is that it would have to be either it has to be BFS or the municipality that applies for it. So I'm just wanting to make sure we want to do this in the right way. So go ahead.
It's a related tangent. Every year with this, the Soil and Water Conservation District performs a mini grant program. We award, it's not a lot, it's about $1,000 per awardee. Which, yeah, it's really not that big, but it kind of helps with a lot of these small community projects. So, I don't know, that kind of fit what you guys would be looking at doing?
Sure. I mean, but yeah.
I was gonna.
You got $50, we'll take that too. I
was gonna open it up on February, but I had a pretty thick agenda, so I'm gonna bring it up in our March
Okay.
meeting. Well, announce it in the newspaper. And
You'll let us know.
Well, I'll send you guys the announcements.
Thank you. So I guess the next.
I'm here. You need me.
Oh, Jeff, thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were here. I beg your pardon.
I came in really late. I would say when it comes to the mini grant thing, because the grant process for us is not particularly onerous. It's a brief application. There is a final report necessary, but it's also brief. There's no reason for us to grant to another organization to redistribute another grant. People can just apply directly to us. So I think that's our thinking.
Yeah.
We would like the fund to spread out and be more aware. It'll help the fund grow as we give out 12 projects. It's not like we wouldn't fund a $1,000 project if it came to us. So spreading the word to those organizations work, but from our point of view, giving $10,000 to another nonprofit to give out $10,000 awards, not usually how we.
No. Yeah, no, I know. Christos was saying that he has those awards.
that are available to us, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll, maybe we can, Florian, you and Kyoko and I can maybe figure out how to do this year so that everybody gets what they need. If we're gonna do the community foundation grant, I'm gonna need somebody who can write that up. I'm looking at Jake and we need to go over here.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Can I
Yeah.
just make one, just late news item. Today, I finally received from the state of New York, the Mill Street Dam flood risk assessment report. I emailed it to you,
Oh,
and to
great,
Jake,
okay.
and you can post it as you think appropriate and get it to the group. I just didn't want to do random emails, but it was done in 2013 and it resulted in a reclassification of the flood risk down to level B, which was a good thing, but there's a lot of technical information in there that I think can be of use in the further dam assessment that's going on. So it's available.
And just so people are aware, if you type in Otsego Community Fund Lake Fund, you do Bing, you get an Otsego Lake Community Lake Fund, Michigan.
In
But it's
Michigan,
in Michigan.
yeah.
Oh,
They have their own Otsego County and their own Otsego Lake with
And
an
it's
Otsego Community Foundation.
And Jeff, it's called the
Otsego Lake
community,
Fund.
it's called the Community Foundation as well, Jeff.
Yeah.
So you get where you head.
It hasn't happened in a while, we've seen that grant, for them,
That's
and
fine.
my policy is,
We get at least one call from
they need
Michigan
to be
every year.
proactive in finding that out.
Right,
Who, they're way to repeat online.
right.
So, but Michigan loves us.
It seems like nice people.
Okay, everybody, I think that's a wrap. Anything that didn't get said, anything that you want on the agenda, please tell me. If you want a piece of the agenda to talk about something that's burning, tell me. I'm happy to do that, okay? Thank you.
First, everybody.
Turn on your,
Oh, boy.
turn on your. Can you put Kyoko, do you have a minute?
Yeah, like 5 minutes.
Yeah, me too.
Hello.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so there, this nonprofit.
Think about maybe having periodic.
Sure. I'll put it on.
Yeah.
Is it pertaining to the voter house situation? Yes, and we should have done a better job.
Yeah, no, you're good, you're good.
Yeah. There's love thing on your conversation.
Yes.
I need to know the bridge identification number, which should be under planning documents. And you know, why is it going?
I do not know the equipment yet.
Then I'll have to make some assumptions.
Number one, we're talking about more safety.
Let me look and see if I see any comments. One second.
I have 3 requests.
They should just sit in.
I sit in my inbox right now, and I can put it up there. And you can just follow the-
I'll let you know if I see anything.
We're not.
Let me open up this damn thing. Get it activated and all that.
Yeah. So you should know that typically for a bridge project.
And if you're having issues.
Number one, it's not a bridge project, it's a dam removal project, but that's besides the point. It's
Yes. It's a dam removal.
a dam removal, that,
There, I actually need some engineering input about how far down we're going, or downstream. The sediment flow to go.
give me one quick second. It's a good thing you have me here, and it's a good thing I brought my computer here. So, first things first, we gotta connect to, the village library of Cooperstown.
And what I'm trying to impress upon you is
That it's a heavy,
it's something that DEC in the next month, we're not gonna get this done this summer. They won't approve it.
we probably won't get it, we probably won't start work until 27. But that being said,
We have to.
I do, I do. Let me,
Because nothing can get done until the building is.
so, and no, not a needle pulling. Fuck.
No Wi-Fi.
Oh, it's just the sky being,
No, I.
Between 10 and 20, hopefully more.
sorry, no.
Coming in is
Yeah.
that's the challenge.
Everything.
Yes.
Outside of the dam.
Maybe it's him, I don't know.
It's plastic key and all of,
One of those low head.
one of,
And a half. Four.
yeah, one of those old ones. It's it's outside of Morris, it's on Route 50, it's on Route 51. I'll get you the thing. First things first, let me write an email and let me write, and this is what, and this is what.
Basic description that I can put into my.
Yeah, all right, so first things first, so. Tracy Brown, and what was his name?
There's some other.
And actually, let me CC the, let me CC the, what's it called, the Fish and Wildlife Service, and I'm also gonna CC you to that email.
Once I have that basic description, I can also give you a proposal and then work with the research foundation to get a contract. And that's what the lane,
Hope that,
research foundation will tell me I'm not supposed to be doing.
hope that this email finds you well. What is it? Going over the project. I remember that issues pertaining
So
to.
you understand how the pearly mussels live in the bottom of the river and they're looking.
To be completely honest, Paul Lord, I'm an agronomist, I'm not a limnologist. Any knowledge I have pertaining to that is circumstantial and basically listening to what you have to say. So long story short, what I want to say is that I do have an understanding, but it's more vague compared to the details that you know of.
Yeah, okay. Well, they're living on the bottom.
Yes,
And when you take out a dam, you not only have where the equipment is in the river and ripping that up, you have that downstream flow that threatens to bury the mussels. So you already have, when you went to the grant, did you already have an engineer?
we have an engineer.
Dam is coming down?
We have an engineer. The engineer has written a preliminary report for that. I'm writing that out for
And I'll let
them.
you know,
And
after I've read that, I'll let you know whether I need any more information from you.
that's what I'm gonna say. The district traditionally works with SUNY Oneonta pertaining to